another music experience is about to unfold with my co-host, Randy Hamo. And folks, just for a couple of minutes, I want to talk with Randy because off air, we were just talking about 2021, 2022 all coming into play. And Randy brought up a great point with all we've been through in the last couple of years. Music has always been there for us. And Randy, I want to take just a minute and elaborate on that because I thought you were so right, and it fits in with today's show very good, very well as also. But I agree with you. I think music soothes the soul when things aren't going the way you want. You can always put on that old record and listen to it and just relax. Don't you agree?
Absolutely, Dave. Music is very relaxing. It takes away the troubles, the problems of the day. Focus on the music. It teaches us to be patient, positive, to reflect in another area of calm.
Very well said, Mr. Hummel. Very well said. And with that, we're going to visit back in time today. Randy's going to give us a history lesson on a certain Swedish band named ABBA. I don't think I've ever heard of them. I think they've only sold, 300 million albums or records or something ridiculous. I'm ready for this because I know growing up, I was a bit of an ABBA fan, and my parents were, and my brothers and sisters. So fire away. Teach me everything there is to know about ABBA today, Mr. Hummel.
Well, what we'd like to do with our listeners, Dave, I'm just going to briefly hit the highlights of ABBA. Then we'll get into a history of ABBA. And then part 3 will close with their new album they've just brought out, and it is going gangbusters. 40 years after the fact, ABBA is back.
That's crazy.
ABBA, they are a Swedish pop group, and they were formed in Stockholm, Sweden. The year was 1972. And they were formed by one of the girls who initially had established the formation, and her name is Agneta Falskog. Also, Bjorn Ulvaeus, Benny Andersson, and Annie Fried Langstad. Those are the 4 members that make up the musical group of ABBA. Now, I think, Dave, it's important to share with our audience the group's name. It's kind of like a palindrome. By that, I mean each of the first letters of the names of the group are accentuated. ABBA. Okay?
Yep.
That makes sense. But the official logo is A, then B backwards, then BA. And it's all done in capital letters. That's interesting to note because there's no other rock group in history that has this, what they call a palindrome, as their logo for their rock band. Anyway, moving right along. In 1974, ABBA, they were Sweden's first winner of the Eurovision Song Contest, and the song they entered was Waterloo, and that's a dandy. Now, in the year of 2005, Waterloo was chosen as the best song in the competition's history as part of the 50th anniversary celebrations of the contest.
Did not know that.
How good is that?
Pretty cool.
And I'm sure you've heard Waterloo by ABBA before, Dave.
Yeah.
It's a great, great song. Fills the dance floor all the time, along with many, many other ABBA hits. Now, after ABBA separated in December of 1982, Andersson and Ulvaeus, they continued their success in music writing for different stage musical productions and movies and rock groups. So they were not only singers with the group ABBA, but they also continued their successes with writing music, producing, and they were very, very talented, 4 very talented individuals. Now, 10 years after the group broke up, a compilation, ABBA Gold, was released in 1999. And as ABBA's music was adapted into Mamma Mia, and of course we know how successful that musical tour turned out. In Broadway, Mamma Mia and West End, which is still running Mamma Mia. Like, how good is that? And now a film of the same name in 2008 became the highest grossing film in the United Kingdom that year. And the sequel, Mamma Mia, Here We Go Again, was released in just a few years ago, 2018. So let us now take a look at the musical group, the history of ABBA.
Hey, Randy, before we get into that, you said something back there that kind of caught my interest when you were saying as a DJ, is ABBA still by far one of the popular groups that you get requests for when you do a dance that may be a 70s dance or an 80s dance?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, Dave. In fact, the 60s, 70s, 80s dances that I do from ABBA, right off the top of my head, the most requested songs from ABBA, Waterloo, Dancing Queen,
yes.
Chiquitita, and I Do. Those are 4 of the most requested ABBA songs.
Cool. That's awesome. Good to know. So
now we proceed to a history of ABBA, and we're going to take a look at the years, Dave, for our listeners from 1958 to 1970. This is kind of pre-ABBA years. Well, as I mentioned earlier, Benny Andersson, he was born on December the 16th, 1946. He just celebrated last week his 75th birthday, and he is still going strong.
Perfect.
And Benny, he played in the pop rock group Hepstars. It was a very popular Swedish rock band at the time. And the Hepstars were known as, you ready for this? Yeah. The Swedish Beatles. That's how good they were.
Yeah, I'd heard that.
So good for Benny Andersson.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, the Swedish Beatles. And Hepstars, again, was the name of their band. And so they set up Hep House, which would be equivalent to the Beatles' Apple Corps. And Andersson, he played the keyboard, and he eventually started writing original songs for his band, many of which became major hits. So Benny Andersson, well on his way. Now, Björn Ulvaeus, he was born April 25th, 1945 in Sweden, and he began his musical career at the age of 18 as a singer and guitarist. And he fronted the Hootenanny Singers. And of course, they were a very popular Swedish folk group, the Hootenanny Singers. And it wasn't by coincidence that the Hootenanny Singers and the Hepstars, they sometime crossed paths while they were touring. And rightly so. You've got 2 of the best folk band and rock band in Sweden touring. And hey, success on success. Next, we have Annie Frieg Langsdal. And she was born November 15th, 1945 in Ballange, Norway. Now, she started singing at the age of 13. So you see, these ABBA members, they started early in their careers when they were in their teens, starting to sing, starting to tour, form rock bands. Just utterly amazing. But for Annie Frieg, she worked mainly in jazz-oriented cabaret style.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's interesting.
How good is that? So to go from a kind of a jazz-oriented cabaret style to rock with ABBA, that's a complete 360. Wow. But hey, all due respect to Annie Frieg.
So far, you've got 3 different types of music already crossing over to form one band. That's pretty crazy.
Yes, absolutely. And it's really good that she had that jazz background, because that propelled her and helped her on various songs when they formed as a group, ABBA. Now, the first record that they formed together as a group.
Did you get the 4th?
Was called.
What was the 4th member? Did you get the 4th member there? I don't remember the other lady.
Yes, the 4th member. We have. I had Benny Andersson, and then we had Annie Frieg Langstad,
Yeah.
then
Georg.
Anthea Falkskog.
Oh, Athea.
Oh, and I forgot Bjorn.
Yeah.
Bjorn Ulvaeus. Bjorn Ulvaeus. That makes up the group ABBA. So once again, that's Benny, Annie Frieg, Anthea, and Bjorn.
Perfect.
Great group of people. So the ABBA, they recorded their first record was Hey Gambleman. And what it was a song about an old Salvation Army soldier, and that became the quartet's very first hit. And during 1971, the artists, they began to work more and more together, writing, creating, singing, and they created a lot of different songs in their repertoire, but they were perfectionists. Each member of ABBA were perfectionists, and if they started a group of songs, they would finish right through. They wouldn't, okay, well, we've done about 10 songs now. We're tired. Let's get at this. We'll go at this next day. No, ABBA was not like that. They finished what they started, and they completed. And I think, Dave, to share with our listeners, this is what made ABBA such a remarkable, creative, and successful band in the decade of the 70s and early 80s. True attention to focus, attention to what really matters, their music, and what they shared with the world. Now, we have, we mentioned the early 70s. Now, the official naming of ABBA, and I think this is very important, Dave, to share with our listeners. In 1973, Stig Anderson, of course, Benny Anderson's father, he started to refer to the group privately and publicly as ABBA. And of course, they incorporated the palindrome, A, B backwards, then B and A, all in capital letters. And ABBA, okay, this is very important to note, is also the name of a well-known fish canning company in Sweden. That's right, a very well-known fish canning company in Sweden. And so, since the fish canners were unknown outside of Sweden, what Anderson, he came to believe that the name would work in international markets. So what they did, they went to the manager of the fish company, and all of the fish canners, the company from there, they were in agreement. Yes, that's okay. They negotiated with the canners for the rights to the name. I mean, how good is that?
Perfect. Yeah.
You know,
It's gotta be done
a
right.
very successful fish canning company in Sweden, and here's 4 young people coming together. They were very honored. They were very honored that the fish canners had agreed to having ABBA use their name.
Perfect.
That's better than great, Dave. Like in this day and age,
unheard of.
That'd be a rare occurrence, I would think. Anyway, so that became their official logo, and it was designed in all of their record sleeves, their 45s, their long plays, and thus became ABBA. Now, in 1992, Polygram, huge record company in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, out of Los Angeles, Polygram, they added a crown emblem to ABBA's Gold. It was their first compilation of greatest hits. And wow, I'll tell you, these logos, they're very meaningful, but also, Dave, you can get a logo that's very unique and everybody remembers it. Wouldn't you agree?
I totally agree. And especially with the one word association there with just the word ABBA. Everybody knows. Worldwide. It's a great move on their part.
Yep. And Waterloo was ABBA's first major hit in numerous countries. It became their first #1 single in 9 Western and Northern European countries. including the big markets in the UK, West Germany, and in South America. Now, ABBA had their first American television interview on the Mike Douglas Show. And the album Waterloo peaked during that time. It was on the Billboard Top 200 chart. And that was a great show. I remember seeing that show with ABBA, Mike Douglas. Just really, they were kibitzing back and forth as though they were long-lost friends, you know? It was a great interview. And Mike Douglas, he did a wonderful interview job with ABBA. Now, ABBA's follow-up from Waterloo was Honey, Honey. And another good hit by ABBA that peaked at number 27 on the Billboard Hot 100. Now, Dave, I'd like to share with our listeners the Billboard Hot 100.
Sure.
Is the Bible of music in North America. Okay? Just like in the UK, they have official charts. That would be equivalent to the Billboard Top 100 in North America. So I just wanted to clarify that issue. And those charts are, again, very accurate in record sales and also in popularity of any given song. So the success of the group of ABBA in the United States in early 1976 was humongous. They had cracked the album charts, the top 30 charts, any of the U.S. charts with their music. Waterloo, Dancing Queen, which is now we're starting to enter into the disco era, and Dancing Queen right to the top of the list. And speaking of that, Dave, Dancing Queen, I would say of all the ABBA requests I've had over the many years I've been DJing, and still even today, Dancing Queen is the most requested ABBA song.
Interesting.
Just wanted to share that with our listeners. Now, the years 1976 to 1981, of course, the disco era. And this was actually, for ABBA, these were the years of superstardom. In 1976, the band released a compilation of their greatest hits, of course. That went very, very well. And off of that greatest hits, there was a song that was a single they incorporated into the greatest hits called Fernando.
Yes.
And Fernando went right to the top of the charts. And this, here again, this was 1976. And that stayed at the top position, Fernando, for a record-breaking 14 weeks. And it stayed on the chart for 40 weeks. And it was the longest-running chart topper for over 40 years until just recently, rock star Ed Sheeran's Shape of You beat it out in May of 2017. But
that's crazy.
How good is that?
40 years. It just keeps going.
That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. Now, the group's fourth studio album, Arrival, this represented a new level of accomplishment for ABBA. And here again, one of the singles spin-offs from that was Money, 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 and also Knowing You, Knowing Me. And you can see the 45 here if the audience looks in, Knowing You, Knowing Me, right there. There we go. Another super mega hit for ABBA. So as you can see, the band's popularity in the United States really unfolded as we hit into the disco years from 1976 to 1981. Mm-hmm. And of course, during those years, ABBA, they embarked on a number of tours that took them throughout Europe, throughout the United States, and also Canada in Edmonton, Alberta, and Canada. So they had a very hectic, 7 or 8 years touring, and as they say, touring all over the world. And they sold tickets, all their tours, all their shows, ready for this? Were sold out.
Yeah. That's
Each
surprising.
and every show that ABBA did was sold out during their premier years as a rock group. And here again, I reiterate 1976 to 1981. What an accomplishment.
It's
Wow.
phenomenal.
Now, updating ABBA. Well, audience, folks, ABBA is coming back.
Whoa.
And they're coming back big time in 2022. But let's just retrace for a little bit.
I thought they said they wouldn't come back. I thought I read something a while back that they would never return to the stage. Wasn't that one of the members said?
Yeah, actually, you're right, Dave. Anthea and Benny Anderson, they both said ABBA would never perform again.
Wow.
No, because we're too old. We don't have the desire anymore. And, well, hey. They met in 1999. More recently, in 2016,
Okay.
They got together for a premiere showing of other artists, and they kind of nonchalantly met. They began talking. Okay, this was September 2016.
Okay.
And let's bring into the realm of possibility here. Yeah. And Thea says, yeah, we might get back. We just might get back and cut one more album. Yeah, if they asked me to do it, she said, yeah, I would do it. Sure, I would. Yeah, I'd do it. And guess what? Voyage. The album is now, they have 12 songs. This is a great, great CD or LP. It's on LP too. ABBA Voyage. 12 new songs. And this is selling like hotcakes. In fact, the pre-orders on this song here, Dave, the pre-orders were over 700,000 copies.
Oh.
That was just pre-orders.
Pre-orders.
And see what I have in my hot little hands here? ABBA Voyage. This was hard to get, believe you me.
Can I ask you a couple
there's
questions?
12 new songs on it.
About it?
And I think they're going to do well with it, very well with it.
You've listened to it. What was your take on it, on the new CD?
I thought when I was going over the songs with Voyage, I thought there were 3 songs that really stood out.
Okay.
And these are going to be mega hit makers for ABBA. And ABBA's got good things coming in 2022. This is only the kind of the beginning of the cake baking process, as they say. There are 3 songs on this album we need to take a look at, and please take a moment to listen to them, whether it's on YouTube or if you stream it. One song, I Still Have Faith in You. That's a great song. Okay. Don't Shut Me Down, another good song. And just released in December 3rd of this year, that's right, a 3rd single, Little Things. Little Things. Okay. Gotta listen to that one. So here we have ABBA. They've recorded another album, but even better, now they have concert residency, and that'll take place in London starting May 27th, 2022. Now, what I mean by concert residency, they play in one specific place. Yeah. They draw the crowds, and it's similar, very similar to Las Vegas, right, on the Vegas Strip. Like, for example, our own Celine Dion, our own Shania Twain, they have residency on the Vegas Strip. Now, like say MGM Grand or something like that, it's a specific venue. They sign a contract. It's a multi-year contract, and hey, they're getting a little up in the age. Yeah. They're middle-aged. They don't have to travel the world. They have residency, but it's a good residency, mind you, and it draws people, and that's how they make their money. Long-term contracts.
I read this too, and
how good is that?
It's
Dave?
Really good, and I read this, but I don't think it's and I'll double check, but I think what I had read was it's ABBA, but it's not holograms. but I think it's some kind of digital. So it's not the actual performers. It's an interesting concept. I was surprised, but and it's the same thing that I had read, that ABBA felt they were just a little, they weren't up to doing all these shows anymore. So they've made this, I don't know, it's with a live band, but they're almost, they're avatars, they call them, like they're the movie Avatar, but these are avatars, ABBA, TARS, but they're sort of created. They're creations of film, which is kind of interesting, and that will be what's playing. I was really kind of blown away when I read that ABBA was doing that, but it should be interesting to see when it comes out. I think it's coming out in May, isn't it? May of this year.
That's right, Dave. Absolutely.
Wow, it's a total different
abattoir, I think. Yeah, you're right.
It's a totally different concept as far as concert goers. And ABBA's always did that. They've always sort of broke through different things and tried different scenarios. Does the album sound? That's right. Does the album sound different from their old music? Is it sort of updated? I haven't listened to it, so I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, it's a different sound. It's updated with today's rock sound, but it's done in ABBA's familiar context of music.
Gotcha.
And it's very, very good. As I mentioned, those songs that I just mentioned, I Still Have Faith in You, Don't Shut Me Down, and Little Things, those are 3 dynamo songs just off of that CD or album. And wanted to share with our listeners too, Dave, on June 6th, 2016, ABBA did informally reunite at a private party in Stockholm, Sweden.
Oh.
And this led to a more formal reunion. And 2 years later, in April of 2018, they announced that they had recorded 2 new songs. And of course, these 2 new songs are on the ABBA Voyage. Here it is again, the ABBA Voyage. There we go. There we go. And they're excellent songs. Well, the whole CD is good, but I really want to stress to our audience, you really need to listen to I Still Have Faith in You, Don't Shut Me Down, and Little Things. Just really, really wonderful music. And you can go to ABBA's website and see more, and also their promotions, and also what's coming up in 2022. Go to abbavoyage.com.
Okay.
Once again, their website, ABBA Voyage, that's all one word, lowercase, .com.
Perfect.
That is fantastic.
And I know you've been excited probably since we started talking. You and I off air talked about this, I think, October, and you've been super excited. So I'm glad to see that you finally got the CD and that you're enjoying it, because that's what music. It's what we talked about earlier. That's what music's all about, isn't it? Being able to reconnect to the
absolutely
past.
Right, Dave.
Now you've got the future with Voyage, and it's wonderful to hear that they're out making music again and doing what they do best, isn't it, Randy?
That's right. 40 years after the fact, ABBA is back big time. And the band announced, Dave, just this year on September the 2nd, YouTube live stream.
Oh, okay.
Okay. That Voyage would be released, and it was released November 5th of this year on YouTube live stream. So if you haven't got the CD yet, you can listen to the songs on YouTube live stream. And here again, I Still Have Faith in You, Don't Shut Me Down. These are phenomenal songs. And these 2 songs alone, they're going to put ABBA back on the map. 40 years later, ABBA is back. This is truly amazing, Dave, in the music world.
Right.
Like, there's no other group, no other rock group that have been, split up 40 years, no ABBA. Then ABBA comes back bigger and better than ever.
So you must be feeling like you're back in your mid-30s again, eh, Randy?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Back to it. Yeah,
I think it's about 30, 32 then.
But
yeah, it is. This is just such a. I think too, Dave, the way this is kind of unfolded, this has been a huge, quote, shot in the arm for rock music. To have ABBA come back into the fold, and they are coming back mega strong. Look out. They're going to be, and who knows for how long they will continue. They're all in great shape. They all love their music. They're all key perfectionists, each and every one of them, which I mentioned earlier. And that's why their work ethic is second to none.
Perfect.
Really, really super. Good to see them back.
Excellent. And I got to give you a shout before we close off this segment today. Is Randy was a voiceover for our latest Christmas video for Port Dover. Came out last month. Over 13,000 views. And I just want to say thanks for doing that. I know you had a lot of fun, and it was great for you and I to get together and get your voiceover onto on that footage for the film. But always a blast. And I know that people have said, hey, we heard you. And that's cool. I'm glad that you got some recognition for having so much fun with us this year and doing that. Thanks again, Randy, for doing that with us.
Well, thank you very much, Dave. I really enjoyed the program, and I really enjoyed doing the podcast as we kind of go down memory lane with the Zoomer music experience.
Let's hope 2022, let's hope everything gets a little better again. Let's hope with this latest little blip on the map with the COVID stuff that we can get back to some sense of normal like we were in the fall. But folks, like Randy always tells you, be safe. Be sure, be careful out there. We got to make sure we get everybody healthy so we can get things rolling again. And I know we got some big plans for 2022 with our show, so I'm looking forward to it. And I hope you are too, Randy.
Sure am, Dave. Sure am. And I'd just like to take this opportunity for maybe a few of those who didn't see our Christmas show, very few. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish all of our listeners and viewers a very Merry Christmas. And there's Bingo. And he says it all. Christmas. There we go.
All right.
Merry Christmas.
Take care, Randy. We'll talk soon.
Will do, Dave. Take good care and stay well.